Hi, I'm Vanessa Anderson.
And I'm Stephanie Cooley.
It's time to give ourselves a moment to be real, to express all of motherhood.
Mothering is beautiful. It's wonderful.
And you know what? It's fucked up too.
Come hang out with us. We're the real motherfuckers. In one of our episodes, Vacation Without Kids, Vanessa and I chat about a recent yoga retreat. It was peaceful, healing, relaxing, and not to be cheesy, but I'll say it anyway, it was life-changing.
While the retreat is in the past, we are still reaping the benefits today. This was my second year going to Mudra retreats, and they did not disappoint. Everyone involved just gets it.
They think of every detail. The sleepy, calm, and serene beachfront hotel, the food was beautifully presented and delicious.
Oh yes, I miss their hibiscus tea. Our yoga teacher was a true inspiration. Each class with her taught me something different and expanded my curiosity with movement and with mindfulness.
Reach out to us on Instagram, Real Motherfuckers Podcast, if you have questions on the retreat, and we're happy to answer them for you.
Yes, go to www.mudraretreats.com and use our link, RMFP, when you check out to support us.
All right, everyone. Before we started, we just laughed a shit ton already.
Yes, we did.
And Jenna is here to talk about her life with her son, who has Angelman Syndrome, which Vanessa and I don't know much about. But we know Jenna through a past guest, Stephanie Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked so amazingly about her life as a teen mom. Mm-hmm. And I know that you wanted to come on to tell your story. And
it's funny, yeah, because Stephanie's like, dude, they got to meet you. I'm going to tell them about you. And
yeah. We're so honored.
Well, and when I talked to Stephanie about it, I was like, I'm so excited. We're talking to Jenna. She's like, ooh,
yeah,
get your seatbelt on.
Yeah, she goes, you guys gotta get ready for her. We're like, all right.
They think I'm crazy. Actually, I'm very toned down now since I became a mom. I'm not as crazy.
This is very interesting to see, and I cannot imagine what it would be like pre-kid.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's crazy. If I had the money that I have now, which isn't a lot, but if I had the money that I have now when I was 25, shit, I'd be gone. I'd be gone. I would stay on a fucking cruise. This is crazy. Don't get all your money and live on a boat. That's what I would say.
There you go. I think your husband would say the same thing.
Yeah, my husband is a big boat lover, so he would
be on the same page.
He would agree with you.
Sell me away, man. But
okay. So when I first talked to you, we got a little bit deep, but not too deep. And I wanted you to just start off with telling us about your blended family, just to set the stage of where you are today with your larger family with Josh.
Okay, so I was I guess I was single, right? Having fun, single. And I met Josh, and he was newly single. He was in the process of a divorce, I believe, at the time. He had 3 kids. We were dating. We didn't think it was serious. His divorce became final. I believe it was the day before Valentine's Day, right?
Wow.
Called me on Valentine's Day and was like, do you have a Valentine? Oh, God. So corny, right? But hey, here I am.
Gotcha.
So we go on 3 months later. This is in 2013. 3 months later, super pregnant. Hey, right? I told you I was fun, right? Super pregnant. And hey, I got a bunch of kids. And I'm like, cool, let's all live together. Hey, yeah. So we just kind of just went in. I had no idea what I was in for. I was so in love and so happy to be pregnant. And I love his kids. I want to say, I think I loved his kids before I loved him. Wow. I just loved them. And then we just
And how many kids and what ages were they?
You said 3.
When I met Josh, Sienna was 4. Say names? Does it matter? I don't know. Sienna was 4, Adam was 5, Anthony was 7.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so going on 11 years, and then our baby Josh is 9.
Wow. So you were there from, the beginning of their childhood. I mean, you were in the
Kindergarten.
beginning of this. Wow. That's a
Yeah.
big commitment. You made
Right?
all those big commitments like so quick.
And are
Like, we're friends, hanging out, dating, pregnant. Like, it was, I made it funny, obviously. Like, I was very carefree. I think I am carefree in that sense, but I didn't think of it as like, I didn't think it was hard. I didn't think, I didn't feel guilty. He didn't feel guilty. We were literally having fun, and like life happened. 0 things were planned, literally. And I just jumped in head first to everything.
okay.
So you fell head over heels in love, quick, family, you're pregnant. And this is how many months at this point when you're 3 months pregnant, you move in together? I mean, how long have you been together total?
So in March, it will be 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
But before that,
I think it was 3 months.
3 months? Like all that happened in 3 months?
Yeah.
Whoa.
They did not waste any time.
Good.
We didn't live together, and remember, he has the 3 big kids. So the first year, my son was 1 when I moved in with him. I still had a job. I was still thinking if I was gonna go back to school. Like, I was all over the place, literally. So when my son turned 1, that's when I decided I was gonna move. But we still, like, he had custody of his kids, so he would come and stay with me for 3 days or 2 days, and then go do dad stuff, and then come back. And it worked out. I want to say we did that till our son was about 10 months. And then finally, I was like, this is weird. Like, we need to just live together.
Yeah,
right?
It's gotta be blended.
So before our son turned 1, we all lived together.
Wow. So you're pregnant. Your pregnancy, was it normal at this point?
See, and that word normal sucks.
Okay.
To me.
Yeah.
Okay. So that word normal sucks because nobody's fucking normal. I'm not normal, right?
Yeah.
Your normal pregnancy isn't like her normal pregnancy, right? So I didn't know what was happening to my body. Everybody knew that I was having a boy because I threw up so much. Like, that was in my family. My mom's like, oh, she's having a boy, she's throwing up because I threw up. Your Tia threw up when she had boys. So like, I always knew I was having a boy, which is so weird, right? It's the inner bruja in me, right? So, and I pray to God every day, don't give me a girl. Don't do it.
Don't make another you.
Don't. Oh, like her dad. Oh, crazy. So I always knew I was gonna have a boy. So the pregnancy that I had, I lost 44 pounds.
Wow.
When I was pregnant, I had my son, and I was skinny. Like, after he came out, I was like, I got on the weigh scale. I was like, this is crazy. But nobody told me that wasn't, like, the way I threw up and vomited. Nobody said that was weird. Like, nobody said that was bad. I mean, I guess a lot of people throw up, right?
Yeah, morning sickness is a thing.
I was one of them.
And,
I did it all day, man, for both pregnancies. It's rough. It's a rough thing to do.
Like, I know that was a sign. So that was actually our first sign that something wasn't going well with my pregnancy, right? Like, but it wasn't like a red flag. Like, nobody said, oh my God, something's wrong. You know what I mean? When my son was born, and when I say full term, I'm 38 weeks and 5 days. Okay. So that's pretty full term to me, right?
Yeah. Yes.
He was born. He was 6'11", 6 pounds, right? 11 ounces. Is that right? I don't know. 6 something. Okay.
Yeah.
19 and a half inches long, like this long thing that was never, right?
Yeah.
And he was good, like, and he would have these jerk, like, spasms, right? But I thought it was because he was cold, and we would take the blanket off of him, and he would, like, twitch.
Oh, yeah.
So we always kept him wrapped. He was always in onesies. And then finally, we go take our Christmas pictures, right? And the photographer was like, sit your baby up. And he was a year.
Okay.
I'm like, he can't sit up. They're like, what? I'm like, he just falls. But I didn't know like that wasn't normal. Like I didn't know.
First time mom
and
of
I carried him
babies.
so much.
Mm-hmm.
So people would say, it's your fault. Like you carry him.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to make him walk or you need to make him sit up. You carry him too much. So I got a lot of parenting advice, and don't try to teach me how to parent because I'm sure you suck as a parent. So don't teach me how to parent.
Yeah. And the unsolicited parenting advice.
When people give you the shit, you didn't even ask for it. Yeah, I get it.
So try this. And I'm like, you suck and your kids are bad. So I don't want to listen to your advice, right? So I know I'm so rude, but it's the truth because you want to say it. I have balls to say it, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't notice all these things. And then we took family pictures around 9 or 10 months because my son had his first seizure at 10 months.
Okay.
It was a grand mal, gnarly. It was 14 minutes.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
It was worse. It was the worst thing ever. Like there's no pamphlet to like teach you like a warning button, like a warning trigger. Like you literally freeze. Like I literally didn't know what was happening to my kid. Like and full on shaking, head to toe, arms. His eyes rolled back. He's a little baby. Oh, I want to say that was the second worst day of my life, right? And they come in, paramedics come, fire department come. They say he's having a seizure. They give him a shot. He has a reaction to the shot and he seizes again.
Oh my gosh.
This seizure is different. This seizure is the one that kicks our ass, and he has myoclonic-tonic seizures. Okay. So, I don't know if you know what those are, but
can you please clarify
tell us what that is?
They're fucking gnarly, okay? And it starts off on one side of your body and trickles up to where my son's half of his face is like lethargic and the other half of his face is like looking one way.
Uh-huh.
That makes sense. So having this weird thing happening, right? And then nobody wanted to touch him. And they were like, well, what does he have? Does he have something? Does he have a seizure disorder? And they're talking this language that I'm a new mom, right? I told you #Instamom. I don't know what the fuck they were saying. Like I didn't know. I was confused. What kind of mother am I? I didn't see the signs. I didn't know. They were like, he doesn't have fever. They checked his blood, everything. We go to the hospital, fast forward, we see a specialist. And my son's condition is so rare and so special is that there is zero proof in his blood that he ever had a seizure.
Wow.
So if you go into so a typical person, a normal person, a regular person, right? You go in and you have a seizure, your blood, your body shows proof of that on tests, on blood work.
Okay. Yeah.
My son does not.
Okay.
So I want to say 80% of his seizures, they are like, are you sure you had a seizure? To the point where we had to videotape and record this shit happening to our kid because doctors literally thought I was fucking cuckoo. Like, are you sure it's a seizure? Are you sure, Mom? Did you see it on Wikipedia? And I'm like,
wow.
You're like, I saw it.
Yeah.
I've experienced it. Like 14 minutes of it.
That's pretty infuriating that your experience was questioned.
Oh, it was shitty.
With you trying to help your son.
Yeah.
He got diagnosed wrong 3 times.
Is this common with people who have Angelman syndrome?
Okay, so Angelman syndrome is a rare genetic disorder. It's in 1 in 28,000 live births. That is the Google, what is Angelman syndrome, what I just said, right? That's exactly as when you Google Angelman syndrome, 1 in 28,000 live births. So that means that there are people that have Angelman syndrome and they've been either diagnosed incorrectly or they don't find out till after they've died.
Wow. So
my son was first diagnosed with a juvenile epilepsy, and then some rare epileptic code syndrome, which doesn't have that, cerebral palsy, and then Angelman syndrome. And it's so crazy because I wanted to tell you before I forget that the name Stephanie is so so special to me in different ways, right? Every Stephanie I've met, I've loved them, which is so weird, right?
Because we cool.
The Stephanie that was the nurse that was there when my son was born, her name was Stephanie, right? She wasn't very nice, but it's okay. We apologize. And then the Stephanie that was working in the blood, like where you go do like your special blood work, there's like a special person that tests the blood. She called me off the record. She's like, you don't know my name. You don't know who I am. I'm not your son's doctor. She's like, I could get in a lot of trouble for telling you this. She goes, but I think your son has Angelman syndrome. And I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
She goes, I'm not allowed to tell you, but I'm new and I'm learning on disorders and his blood and this. And it was like crazy. And I told her, like, I'll never like tell on you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they kept, and I know she was frustrated because they kept wrong diagnosing me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she is that person that's in the office that's like, oh my God, like, this isn't okay. Yeah. She said that she had a dream and she prayed about us and that she knew that was violating HIPAA and got my number and said, this is what I think your son has.
Wow.
And then you know, your brain and the internet and Google are crazy. Yeah. And you could just all day. This link, click. And I literally was like, whoa, that's my son. That's
so what were those descriptions that made you say that's him?
Laughing, very happy, inappropriate laughing, body movements, jerking, biting, teething. He already had all his teeth and he was still teething. It was more like looks. When you see a child with Angelman syndrome, they look really similar to each other. Light skin, light eyes, but there's people in my family that have light eyes too. So I don't know if that's like part of it, but a lot of them have light eyes, light skin, a big mouth, like a wide mouth. My son looks like he has so much teeth because his mouth is so like big. Very extra happy. He loves water. But like I said, all these things you wouldn't know. You would just think it was a happy kid that likes to go swimming.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these are characteristics and you know, obviously the seizures. My son doesn't talk. He could say ma. If he wants something, he gestures it. He will show us. He will get frustrated because he can't like say it. So like at home we sign. He tries to sign, but he doesn't like it. So if I'm signing, like we're all done, he'll put my hands down. Like he's not done.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how he tells. If he's hungry, he'll walk to the refrigerator and he'll bring me his shake. Like he wants me to make him his shake. He'll go into the pantry and he'll yell at the cookies until the cookies fall down. And we bring, you know, so that's how we talk. So this is diagnosis, post-diagnosis, all these things I'm learning about with Angelman syndrome, and I'm reading, and I'm like, that's my kid. But it's not official. So it wasn't until he was almost 2 that I got an official diagnosis, which the medical needs to fix that, because I think waiting 2 years for a diagnosis is absolute bullshit. Nobody should, because the quicker we would have known, we could have started therapies and you know, knowledge is power. I believe if you tell me what was wrong with my kid 10 months old, when I knew something was wrong, when we found out something was wrong, and you took another year, like I'm already fucking crazy. Yeah. So, and I'm very impatient, which I learned during my childhood.
Well, you're mama mode, you know, like you want to help your child and you want to help them immediately, especially because, you know, those seizures are freaky, especially if they're that long.
At that point, by 2 years old, how many seizures had he had at that point?
At 2 years old, so he was getting till 9 months, 10 months. I want to say he had about 10.
Wow. That's a lot, and mama.
They were all rare. Drop seizures, myoclonic-tonic seizures, grand mal seizures. Drop seizures are the worst. I would never wish.
What is that like?
So a drop seizure is literally a stiffen up and a collapse.
Oh my gosh. And How
And
long are they?
anywhere. He could be on the top of the stairs. He
Uh-huh.
could be anywhere.
Yeah.
And so drop seizure is 100% the worst fucking seizure. In my opinion, in my life with my
Yeah.
son,
Yeah.
he's only had one. And luckily he was standing up by the couch and our dog knew and he fell on our dog.
Yeah.
And our dog crying and barking and knew like this is not good, right? Our dog knows when he's gonna have a seizure. I want to say the day before.
Oh my gosh,
I know
that is beautiful. I hear about these things. Our
Yes.
pets are amazing
They're
creatures.
so intuitive.
Yes.
I know that there's actually dogs out there that they design just for that. And it
Yes.
looks like your dog doesn't need that
Yeah.
training.
Those dogs are start off at like $4,000,
Yeah.
and then training program. But my dog was gifted to me from my brother. He got a dog. He couldn't have the dog. Whatever. He gave us the dog, and it was a Christmas present to my son when he was 2.
Wow.
When he was 2, and the dog was not trained. That dog wasn't even potty trained yet. She was freaking shitting in my house. And
Yeah.
but my dog, and her name's Roxy, and my son are like they just clicked. Like that dog slept in the crib with my son.
That dog was meant for your
Yeah.
family and your son.
So beautiful. I love animals.
It's so
that do
crazy.
that.
So she knows when he's sick and when he doesn't feel good, and she gets in mama bear mode too, and she'll guard him. I'll be like, bitch, I'll kick you. That's my son. Like, you know. But she'll guard him. Like, he's not feeling good, lady. Like, I got him.
Okay, so how old is your son now?
9.
9.
Wow.
He'll be 10 in March.
I'm assuming from 2 to 9, you went through all kinds of things.
Oh,
I mean, I don't want to rush your story here, but I don't know. Maybe we can talk about some like the path from being 2 to 9
Okay.
and like all of the, milestones, all of the differences in his development.
You give me an age group. You give me
Yeah.
an age, and I'll tell you what happened at that age.
Let's start at 2 and you can name 1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
we'll go to 3.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay.
So if
2
there's a
years
mom
old.
out there, yeah.
Okay, so 2 years old everything was new.
Uh-huh.
2 years old, everything was new. I worked at Olive Garden, and I worked at Buffalo Wild Wings. I was a bar back, and then I was a server at Olive Garden, and I worked 5 to 6 days a week. When my son got his diagnosis, I went part-time, like 1 to 2 days a week, because my son literally had therapy every day.
Yeah.
So when they gave me the go that he requires therapy to have a successful life, because I go in there and I'm like, okay, I don't give a fuck what you guys say my son has. Let's make sure he has a good life. I literally said that.
Yeah.
And they would be like, okay, well, you're probably gonna have to get him fitted for a special walker. Insurance doesn't cover the fancy good walkers. The walker was gifted to me from my really, really good friend. She gave me her son's old walker that I love her to this day. Like, she didn't have to do that. So we used her walker for like a year and a half for my son. He didn't like the walker. My son was the freaking Spider-Man crawling king. Like, he was the best crawler ever. And so that's how he got around for about 2 years crawling. He had OT, PT, this thing called adaptive speech. So even though he couldn't talk, we would do like cards and flashcards, and they would have his whole family. I have our whole family's picture on his original cards, and he would show us like who he wants or who he misses, or if I would show him the phone, who he wanted to FaceTime, he would show me the card.
So he's got the physical things happening. What is happening cognitively for him?
Like what he can and can't do. Right?
Like
Is that what
mentally or
like
everything?
mentally, like it, because he can't
Okay.
speak, but he obviously knows how to communicate. He just has to do it in his own way. So,
right. So he's 9. So
Mhm.
mentally right now, I would say my son is like a 5 or 6 year old.
got it. Okay.
So he likes kids that age. He likes big kids, but mentally and where he's at, like he can't. Our goal for 4 years since we started kindergarten was to hold a pencil correctly and write. I don't care what he write. He could write "fuck you." I don't care, but he doesn't like this motion.
Yeah.
He throws it. He gets upset. He can hold a pencil and he'll look at it, but he's not doing this motion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He knows that a pencil goes on the paper. He knows that a book has pages, but he'll give you the book and you read it to him because he knows. Does that, like, he knows he can't flip the pages. Like, if he wants you to flip the pages if we're reading him a story, he rocks. So continue. Like so little things he was learning from 2 to 3 years old.
Yeah.
We would give him baby toys or toys that were that age group, and he couldn't do it. He would try to, but he would get frustrated and he didn't like understand. He started CBD at 2.5, and my son wasn't able to like pick up a Cheerio or use his fingers. His hands were kind of like this ish. I don't know if you could see that. Yeah. Kind of like in a weird, they looked deformed. I'm not going to lie. They looked weird.
So anybody that's just listening, she's just kind of like having her hand in like kind of loose grips.
Loose grip, fingertips kind of extended and no, you're good. The 4 fingers are pressing towards her thumb.
Yeah.
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 So he couldn't like regular hand stuff, right?
Yeah.
I want to say the 4th day he had the CBD oil, he was 2.5. My son picked up a Cheerio and I started bawling.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man. That's a big milestone.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, why are you crying? I'm like, bitch, my son picked up his Cheerio with his finger. You know? So those little like milestones would continue. So then at like, so that's like 2 or 3. And then 4 years old, he could stand. Right before he turned 4. So he turned 4 on a Tuesday. He took his first steps on a Monday, the day before. So right before he turned 4, he took his first steps. He was fitted for a wheelchair on Thanksgiving when he was 3. And they brought it to me. That was a shitty day.
I bet it was.
And then my dad was like, what happened? What did they say? And he's like, what's this big old box? Is it a present? No, that's not a fucking present, you know? And then so that is when he struggled the most because he could stand and he could move, but he would get tired and like fall down or like get frustrated. And that was like my cue to like, oh man, he didn't like the stroller. He didn't like the walker. He didn't like the wheelchair. And then it would like discourage me to like leave for a little bit.
Take your time, Jenna. It's okay. Take your time. This is a lot.
Dang, it's like coming in like quick.
It's all right. This, you know, you're reliving.
Yeah, you're reliving. You're telling your truth, and
this is the way it happens. It happens to us too when we talk about our personal things. So this is you just roll with it, Mama.
Better. I did better than my cousin. That bitch was crying at 10 minutes.
It's good. These feelings got to come out, and you're telling the story through the deepest part of your heart, which is your son and your experiences. So it's understandable. Absolutely understandable.
Go in order. Okay, so where are we at? We're at 4 years old, right?
We're at 4 years old, yes.
4. And the walker and the stroller was like my backup, was like my cushion, because I didn't like, not only did I not like packing that big ass thing, it was more like people feeling sorry, you know, like, oh, poor her, or oh, that sucks. My son is very happy, and my son has a very good life. He doesn't know that, he doesn't know that it's hard or different. You know what I mean? Like, if we go to Target and my son sees a toy and he grabs it like every other, little kid, he does that regular stuff, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, the noises that he makes, and, you know, the rocking and the hand flapping, you know, when people stare, that's for the birds. I don't care if you stare at my kid, stare at him all day. He's a beautiful looking kid. A lot of people, when they see him first, they don't know that he's different until he can't talk, until you talk to him and he responds. his way of responding, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And kids all the time are like, why can't he talk, or what's wrong, or and so he started kindergarten, and so now we're at 5 years old. So we started kindergarten and the seizures changed. The best thing about learning about his diagnosis is they give you kind of like a heads up. So once I knew that he has Angelman syndrome, I was looking for like signs. So they say between 4 and 5, your body changes again, and these kind of seizures could happen. My son is 100% by the book. Angelman syndrome, except the seizures he has. Does that make sense? Like, if you look up Angelman syndrome and all the things, my son falls in every category, but my son has these gnarly ass seizures and he's not hospitalized every time. He doesn't stop breathing. Some of these kids have seizures every day. I know a lady and her son has 200 seizures a day.
Wow.
And those parents are like jealous of my son.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, like you're like, that's what I'm saying. There's no normal. Like, there's not even normal in Angelman syndrome. Like, I think that word is so dumb. Like, you're normal, my normal. Oh yeah, my son has 200 seizures a day. Oh, my son has 1. Like, have the same diagnosis. You know what I mean? Like, so that to me,
comparison is a trap,
Oh, comparison is don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Everybody, don't compare your kid.
And also don't lessen your hard, right? Just because they had 200 seizures a day doesn't mean that your day is any less hard. It's your experience. And
oh yeah, and their kid might do stuff that my kid can't, and my kid might do stuff that your kid can't, and like you said, it's a sick comparison. Stop doing it. No matter what you do in just life, not even just your kid.
Yeah, no, it's true.
That's like one of the lessons I learned. So then kindergarten was our roughest year because he was new to school. He wasn't potty trained. He's still not potty trained. He could tell us, but he doesn't like go. And the teacher that he had shouldn't have been a teacher. The aide, and he didn't have an aide. He didn't have somebody with him all day. I had to go to like special education court with like a judge and fight for my son to have what he has now.
Yeah.
So like, and we're in kindergarten and I'm like, well, who's going to change his diaper? Like, who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? I'm like, oh, we have people for that. We have nurses for that. And I'm like, okay, like, it's weird. And my son came home. One time he came home with clothes that were not his. One time he came home with somebody else's diaper, which is also weird. He had like random holes in his shirt. He had like ripped clothes because I guess he would fall a lot. Then I found out they would leave him in like a chair all day because nobody wanted to like help him. So it was easier for the teacher or whoever was in the classroom just push him around in a chair all day and have him like strapped in all day. And so I was learning, okay, this school is not for us, right?
Yeah.
So the transition from kindergarten to first grade was crazy. He went to another school and then we moved, and that school, it was decent, right? It wasn't until second grade when we moved down the hill, because I lived up the hill. I lived in Victorville. When we moved down the hill, that my son, I became aware of everything that he qualifies for and what schools and programs have what. Yeah. And that's how we're able to have him in this school that he's in now. And you could just tell the difference. Like, teachers that want to teach and love teaching, they're great at their job. Aides, nurses, doctors, every career. I've met an amazing teacher and I've met an asshole teacher. I've met the number 2 neurologist for children's, like a children's neurologist that's number 2 in California. Thumbs down. Thumbs down.
You really have to find, research, advocate for yourself and your son.
Yeah.
You can't let it be and just hope that it's the best that you're going to get.
Absolutely.
You have to find it.
And also, is there something that you can tell mamas out there that have, a child that's going to need resources for their education? Is there any paperwork or anything you have to gather medically to have those services? I mean, how does that work?
Can you just... God, I'll pay for the world. Send everybody my number. I'm freaking so serious. The first thing is that diagnosis. The diagnosis is the diagnosis that says your child has any type of disorder, seizure disorder, Down syndrome, autism. The spectrum is limitless. Anything, as soon as you get that diagnosis, that is your key. That's your portal to information, and it tells you where to go and who can help you with what. That's why they always ask me, like, oh, are you self-diagnosed, mom? Because there's moms out there that don't go to the doctor and they diagnose their kid, and that's cool. That's your way. I had legit paperwork that says what my son has. And how this is going to affect his life moving forward, and why he gets, obviously as he gets older, a couple things might change here and there, but for the most part, if your child has any type of disorder, mental, physical issues about learning, that's going to stop your child from learning and being successful, and those are key words that moms need to say. How am I going to make my child successful? How are you going to help my child be successful at school? And those words are triggering because it puts it on the teachers and the staff. Like, oh shit, like, what are you going to do for 6 hours with my child?
Absolutely.
You're not going to leave him in a chair all day, right?
Yeah, that's cruel. That seems very cruel.
And they don't know, and my son can't talk, and he can't come home and tell me, Mommy, I've been in my pee diaper all day, and I've been in the damn chair all day. You know? So those are things like you learn. So after we found his school, that made everything way smoother. The biggest struggle throughout the years was finding the medicine for him. Finding the medication that it was going to help my son be successful and have a long life. And the first thing that I Googled, I mean, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna make my point right now. But the first thing I Googled about Angelman syndrome is lifespan. Yeah. Because that was important to me. Yeah. How long do I get my baby? Is he gonna be taken away from me sooner? Is this syndrome gonna make him do this or do that or do this? Right. And the average lifespan for Angelman syndrome kids, is 77 years old.
Yay.
Yeah.
So he's going to be my baby Josh till he's 77 years old.
Yay.
Yep. So to me, that's a pretty good normal lifespan. Yeah. Right? So, I mean, I'll take it. So I feel that and the way that my son has seizures, that he's able to bounce back after like a super power nap, that's what makes him so special, and that's what makes his case so rare. Right? Because he's not hospitalized every time he's in a seizure. He's had a seizure at school, and then we pick him up, we come home, and then he gets to go to school the next day.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's resilient. He's actually resilient. And if anything, he looks very tired, and he takes a super nap, and he wakes up and he's cool. That is when we had to all get on board with the school, because I need them not to freak out. Like I had to have a meeting with his teacher and his nurse that says, when you freak out, you're making my kid freak out. Right. So I need the calmest person with the most patience, right? Is that a real thing? Right? I need the calmest person, right? And the most patient person to be my son's aide. Right? And I was blessed again. I was fucking blessed again, because my son's aide has become our like family.
Oh, I love it.
As it should be.
Yeah.
And he's got him for 2 years. And I swear to God, when my son goes to 7th grade, I'm going to have to pay him, because I want him to come with us to 7th grade.
Those teachers, those aides that have that connection with our families, our children, like it's always so hard to think about, like, how is life going to be after you?
Yeah, because it's hard to find. It's genuine. It's a genuine love, you know?
I joke around and I tell my mom, I'm like, I'm going to have to get on Feet Finder again, because I'm going to have to pay this man to follow my son all the way to high school.
Yeah, I love it.
This is crazy. But that's the trust that I have I trust him with my kid, and moms that go and they fight to have an aid, like, don't stop fighting, dude. Like, you need to be, you want the school to know your face.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that when I come into the office, everybody gets quiet and looks at me. I don't care.
Yep.
I don't care.
Yep.
If that's what it takes. If that's what it takes sometimes, then that's what it takes, you know?
You're just a mom that cares about her son. That's,
So,
you know.
So you got your thing squared away almost after the first year, right? You found your school, you found your good aid. They're understanding that they, you know, these seizures are part of his life, and you've given them the tools. So then what's the next part that happened after that in your journey?
The medicine.
This is what's interesting.
Yes.
Was, so remember I told you, right, the second worst day of my life was the second worst day of my life was my son you know, having this gnarly seizure, right? Yeah. Which I thought was going to be the worst day of my life. And the reason why it's number 2 is because the medicine that they were giving my son, it's called Trileptal. They gave him this medicine that was stopping all the focal seizures in his face. So I told you how, like, when I would roll back and his face would be rocking, and this, like, little helpless, beautiful white baby boy with blue eyes, you know, is just shaking, right? That he was still having the seizures, but they weren't in his face. So it wasn't, like, noticeable as much, but he was having these seizures. The medicine that he was given was called Trileptal. And we were noticing him squinting a lot, right? So I go to the doctor, we go to the eye doctor, and they're like, oh, it's so common for babies with blue eyes. He might be sensitive to light. Another fucking ding-dong that they gave a degree to, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, that sounds weird, but okay. So then again, research. And I'm like, you know what? What's in this medicine? Like, when a doctor gives you medicine, you take it. Yeah. When a neurologist suggests medicine, you take it. Like, that was just, you trust these doctors to give you medicine, right? Whether it's for a cold, whatever. They're giving you something, and I'm trusting in you that you know what that is, right? The medicine that they were giving my son was eventually going to make him blind.
Oh my gosh.
God.
So, yes, he stopped having the focal seizures. But they said he would be blind. Okay? Then, I remember looking at this doctor in the face. And I'm a fighter. Like, I ask anybody, I'll punch a bitch in the face at fucking Stater Brothers. I don't give a fuck, okay?
Yeah.
But the rage and, like, the anger that, like, I told him, I said, you know, you're giving him Trileptal. Like, I had a meeting and everything. I questioned him. Josh took the day off work. I believe my mother-in-law was there that day too, because I don't know, she was afraid I was going to go to jail, I think. I don't know. And I said, you cannot give him this. Like, what are you thinking? Like, what the, like, I went off, right? I don't think I cussed at him, but I was very upset. And he said, I understand you're mad, Mom, but I don't want him to die. And I go, what? Nobody wants him to die. What are you talking about? Well, these seizures that he's having could, you know, hurt his brain, his face, his, like, everything about him that's beautiful. And just, he's not going to be the same if one of these seizures really goes hard on him and his face and his brain and his eyes. And his exact words were, would you rather him go blind or would you rather him live? Those are my choices.
Yeah.
We're going to give him this medicine and he's going to go blind. By the way, my son could barely walk and he can't talk.
And not see.
And now he can't see, but because he's living, I go, that's not even living. That's trash. That's shit. That's crap, right? Back then I was on Facebook. And I don't know what I was thinking. I went on Facebook and I think I searched Angelman Syndrome. And there's an Angelman Syndrome support group. The Angelman Syndrome on Facebook that support group literally saved like my mental like health.
Yeah. You found
There was
someone that knew
so-
what you were going through.
Oh my God, hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Jenna. This is my son Josh. We just recently found out about Angelman syndrome. That's all I wrote, dude. And I woke up the next morning, I had 110 emails.
I love it. This is when social media has a good component
this is
to
the
it.
good side
I talk
to it.
trash about social media all the time, but I love hearing this.
Yes.
I didn't know what to do, dude. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I asked, my first question is, anybody know anything about Trileptal? Right?
Uh-huh.
So many people use Trileptal, but their kids don't have those kinds of seizures as my kid.
Uh-huh.
Some people were using Keppra. Keppra was our first. Keppra to me is like Tylenol for seizures, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's generic. It's not that bad on your body and your kidney. People are on Keppra their whole life, and they it doesn't make them worse. It's kind of like what do you call it? Like your calmness, like kind of like a level of just being calmer and a level. I don't know how to explain what Keppra is. Keppra is basically like basic seizure medicine.
Okay.
So if you have a seizure, the first thing they give you is Keppra to control the most mild seizures, and then above that are like narcotics that make you lethargic and tired, right? And kind of like down, you know.
Right.
So you go kind of. I mean, I don't want to say they're high. I mean, I guess they are high. They're just down. ONFI. Onfi is a popular one, and then the Trileptal that I said. So my son's trying all these different like medicines and like basically concoctions, right? So all these medicines, you know, I'm like, oh my God, that's so much stuff in my son. Like
That's
this
a lot.
is crazy. And high five to his dad. I don't mention it enough. He's very like, whatever you want to do, babe. Like, I believe you. You're right. When it comes to our son and medical, he's very whatever you want to do, Jen. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I mean, he doesn't shut up. But with that, our son,
Yeah.
you know, he trusts me enough and believes in my ideas and where my headspace is.
Oh my God, because you've been doing amazing.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Hello.
I mean,
like
understanding.
Yeah.
Everything.
The fact that you just pushed, you're his biggest advocate. You were like wanting the best for him and push for it. It's amazing to watch. Just you.
I love that I make other women want to like speak up.
Yeah.
Like, say something. I'll look at a mom. I'll be like, say something.
Yeah.
Or I will, you know?
Yeah. And you
And
should,
like,
you should absolutely. And
like,
you should
oh,
question.
Okay. They didn't know. Like, all the moms are so sweet. The young moms are my favorite. The young moms are my favorite.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, bitch, if you don't set it straight now, you're going to struggle later. You know? And
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. Not a big deal. Give my son 10 cookies. And I'm like, oh, no. Not over here.
Don't do
you
it.
know? But very nice. But so the medicine thing was our struggle. And then again, okay, her name was Stephanie.
Oh.
And she emailed me. She goes, hey, you don't know me and I don't know you. My nephew has Angelman syndrome and he's been taking CBD and he hasn't had a seizure in a year.
Okay.
And Josh's dad, Big Josh, mentioned it and I wasn't against it. I was never against it, but I wasn't there yet. Right? Yeah. I was more like, what are our options before that? Right?
Yes.
And so it was in the back of my mind, chilling in the back of my mind. So I'm not against it, but I wanted to make sure, because when you go that route, it's a fucking crazy route. Mm-hmm. Because there isn't enough knowledge about it, right? Yeah. On what's in it and how you're going to react to it. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know how it was going to affect my son in a positive way or a negative way, or if he was going to have some gnarly naps all the time. And I didn't want him to be all high and be all stoned as a baby. So that was my precaution. I was very, very serious. And I learned a lot before I even introduced that to my kid, right? So then my son had 3 seizures in one day. Okay. He had 3 seizures in one day around the time I got this email from Stephanie. And I was like, just tired. I was tired, dude. I was tired, and the medicine, they kept upping it. They kept increasing all his medicine. And I'm like, no, this is not working, bro. I think it's making it worse.
And at this point, how often were the seizures happening at this point?
1 a week.
Okay. Yeah.
That's plenty.
And they
That's
were lasting between like 3 to 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
So I'm sorry. So you guys are exploring the CBD option. Before you decided to move forward, were you like, we're done with this other medicine? Or did you kind of or did you have to combine it?
I wanted to stop increasing it.
Okay. All right.
So when I saw that specialist that I told you about, we won't say her name, but she knows who she is. She kept increasing my son's medicine. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this broad doesn't know shit. Like, this isn't my son. This isn't going to be my son's doctor. Then that girl that I was talking to on Facebook, she goes, hey, we used to live down the hill in the Inland Empire, Riverside area, and there's a neurologist there, and you should hit him up, right? Mm-hmm. So again, I got and you know what, and shout out to my mom, because my mom hooked me up with a referral to somebody that works in this doctor's office, right? So my mom kind of did some homework for me, and she's like, oh, this doctor only takes special cases, Jenna. I'm like, I'm special.
Yeah.
And she's like, Jenna, like, you don't get mad and don't act blah, blah, blah. Like, this doctor only takes so many patients a year. This doctor at the time was only taking 9 new patients, right?
Wow. Gosh, yeah.
And my son was number 11.
Okay.
And I said, you got to meet him, though. Just meet him. Just meet him. Just meet him. Come on, you know? And I would call the office. I was so annoying. And then her name was Jessica, that worked in his office. And she's like, okay, I'm going to leave you a voicemail. Like, I'm going to send you to his voicemail, and you just talk about your son, give him all the information. Tomorrow, he said he'll listen to it and he'll give you a call. He called me that night, baby girl.
No.
You sold that shit.
Oh my God. I wish you have the recording of that voicemail.
Oh, dude, I went in, and I wasn't crying that much. I was like, please, no. I said, what my son has is rare. There's only, at the time, there was only 7 kids in California that have what my son has. Now there's about 13.
Wow.
And I've met a handful of them. And we've met up and taken our kids swimming and to the beach. And we're all these moms drinking on the beach, watching all of our kids with Angelman syndrome. It's like a club.
Yeah.
It's a club.
How beautiful.
And they jumped me in their Angelman mom club, right? And those moms are my heroes. Those moms gave me information about doctors. They gave me information about cannabis clinics that research stuff for kids. Mm-hmm. In San Diego. San Diego is amazing. I wish I could live there. A lot of these programs are near San Diego, around San Diego. So we did a couple trips to San Diego and Carlsbad to meet these families, and they would give me information, and I would meet their kids. And, you know, some of their kids could say mom, dad, no. Some of these kids run. Some of these kids play soccer. All of them have seizures, different kinds. Mm-hmm. Some of these kids are in wheelchairs. They'll be in wheelchairs their whole life, you know. So so as I'm learning about CBD, I'm talking to these strong ass moms, and I'm looking at these dope ass kids, and the lift of all, like, my son can't do this, my son can't do that, it literally disappeared, bro.
Good.
Oh, I love
it. Didn't matter. It didn't matter that your son could do that and my son could do this. It didn't matter anymore, because I saw a bunch of happy kids that were not in a hospital. Yeah,
absolutely.
I saw a bunch of happy kids that were living with this disorder, and it took, I mean, I don't want to say it took me a while to accept it, but it took me a while to accept that things are going to be harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And things aren't always going to go my way. And if you know me prior to today, things go my way. I'm a leader. I'm a boss. I'm in charge. And I don't give a fuck. So that my personality, I know, is already a lot for people, and it discourages people to talk to me, but I'm also very loving. I'm also very understanding. I understand people make mistakes, but my kids' health and my kids' life was like literally, I felt like in the palm of my hand. Like it was up to me to be positive, like these moms. Like I wanted to be like them.
Yeah.
Like I think one kid, like, I don't know, spilled or threw up or broke something, and they were all like laughing. They're like, ah. I'm like, oh, I like that. Hey, like,
Yeah.
And that carefree moment was a big lesson, because it actually gave me other ways, and it actually changed my way of thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
When you're sad, when you're crying, when
Yeah.
you're miserable, those emotions take over.
They
Yeah.
do. Absolutely.
But like when you're, it's freaking crazy how our brain works. So then, oh God, so then we go get my son a rec, right? A rec is a card you need to go into. Well, now you don't need it, but before you needed a rec to go inside a cannabis shop, right?
Mhm.
And my son was 2 at the time. He was, because you're 24 months, you're 2, right? So he was 20 months when he was 20 months when he got he was 20 months when they gave me the CBD, but I didn't give it to him till after he got the rec. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so then he got the rec, and it was just full CBD. There was no THC in it. And we started off with the gummies. Okay? And it was CBD infused melatonin gummies. Okay? That's where we started. Then when it was official that the doctors got on board, they gave us medical CBD oil, but he didn't get that till he was in kindergarten. So we were kind of trying a little bit of CBD here and there once in a while, but it wasn't consistent, because I needed it to be written in paper and legal docs. Another thing, moms, get everything written down. I have that paper in my car, and I have that paper in his backpack, and the school has a paper to where my son in the state of California is a legal cannabis user.
Mm-hmm. And isn't he one of the youngest? Isn't he one of the youngest?
My son is the youngest.
Yeah.
If you Google my son, I don't know if you're allowed to do that, but if you were to Google my son and you Google cannabis, my son is the number 2 picture that comes up.
Wow. So he's the youngest.
In Southern California that had a rec, but you don't need the rec anymore.
How many seizures has he had since?
His whole life?
Well, since starting to use CBD.
Yeah, what were the changes once you started going for it?
Yeah. So I told you he would have 1 a week.
Yeah.
1 every 6 months.
Oh,
wow. So did the change happen pretty quickly once you guys started?
I told you he picked up the Cheerio.
Yeah. That's when it happened.
Pick up the Cheerio. My son was able to sleep through the night. My sex life came back.
There you go.
Yeah, we didn't even realize he wasn't sleeping through the night. Yeah.
And it was and I'm paranoid. Like I would check his breathing all the time and like wake him up and be like, "Are you breathing?" You know? And because there was a moment, I want to say it was kindergarten. Kindergarten was probably our roughest year. That's when he had a couple seizures in his sleep.
Wow.
And those are shitty in their own sense, is because my son's body was jerking and he's not awake. So that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Like it didn't look like he was there a couple times.
Yeah.
Like it looked like his dad one time jumped out of bed and picked him up and like woke him up because it looked like he was not awake. Like what was happening to his body? He was asleep, but he wouldn't wake up. Like he wouldn't open up his eyes. So, and my son always slept in his own room, in his own bed, in his own crib. But when the seizures started happening in his sleep, I was like, fuck that. Put that crib in my room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now, 10 years, he's 10 years old. He's still in my bed. So, dad needs to get his own bed because me and him sleep fine. I'm like, you're not bothering. I mean, me and Josh are comfy over here. You need your own bed. You go do your own.
Well, I am so glad. I'm so glad that our state allows that and that it is helping children and their health.
Dude, it was like a it was like an overflow, like, of love and support, because cannabis users and medical cannabis users, oh my God, those people that I've met, again, through social media and Facebook and Instagram. I think I posted a picture of my son with the oil, right? And people started sending us free stuff. Like, we would get boxes. Like, I would get a box at my mom's address, my in-laws' address, my aunt's address. People who knew me or knew my family, they would just send us stuff.
Wow.
And I literally had boxes and boxes of care packages of CBD gummies, regular CBD oil, tinctures, a CBD bubble bath, CBD hair oil, CBD massage oil. People will send me joints, like everything.
So you got a boutique in your house.
I did. And I was like, oh, and these people, but some of these people were genuine and loving and helpful. But some of these people wanted like clout, like, tag me in this post if your son uses it.
That's tacky.
Tag this company. I'm like, oh, fuck this guy. Because he'd be like, oh, did your son try it? Can you tag me?
Oh, that's very tacky.
That's, okay, so that was kind of like, oh, no. But my son got a sponsor. Oh, yeah. So then, which was so crazy. So then my son is 7. He was 7.
Okay.
He was 6 or 7. And a cannabis company hit me up, and they have a talk show. They have a podcast. I don't know if you've heard of them. Cannabis 101.
I have not heard of them.
Okay. So Cannabis Talk 101. They paid for me to go there and talk like this, how I'm talking to you, for like 45 minutes. And people just asked questions about my son and asked about all the CBD that we used. And they ended up becoming my son's sponsor. And they pay for all of his CBD, and where we met Sean for Our Life CBD. That's our company that we use, Our Life. And they have been supporting my son and all his CBD for the last 3 or 4 years.
That's huge, because that costs a lot of money.
It is.
It's very expensive. Well, and not only that, it's the kind that she's using, because it has a specific use, and it's they have to work. Yeah, they have to work a lot to get it to those right levels and the certain chemistry that the child or the person needs. So I'm so glad that you have that support. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, he was on 4 medicines, and now he just takes one. He takes one medicine called ONFI, only 2.5 milligrams once a day. He used to be on almost 8 milligrams when he was a baby. I'm like, this shit's making him all weird, right?
Yeah.
And we increased the CBD. I don't know if you want to see it, I can show you it. But it takes 60 drops in the morning, and then 10 drops when he gets home from school, and he takes about 20 drops before bed. So he's on a good amount of CBD, and it's full CBD, CBD 1 and 2. There's no THC in it. My son is not freaking lit all day. The only thing that probably makes him tired is the melatonin, because melatonin is real. That's my backup, right?
Yeah.
But no, so now my son had a seizure the day after Thanksgiving this year. And that was his first seizure since, I want to say, 9 months.
Wow. Well, I'm very glad that the CBD journey is one that has worked for you and got your life back, and also, sleep for everybody. That's so important for everybody.
Well, we need to sleep. I'll be way nicer if I get to
exactly.
sleep.
Are we all? So in the future with Josh, I really love that your family, I've been able to see your family photos before I've spoken to you, and they melt my heart.
Yeah.
Your family is so beautiful.
Those kids are good looking kids.
Yeah, and your son is gorgeous. I mean, all of you are just such a gorgeous family. I love how you can just feel the support and love in those pictures. And with the future for Josh, we're all thinking, what is care going to be like for Josh? Just say, in the future, when if anything would happen to you, or is there plans for anything for him after 18? Can you talk about that, please?
Yes. So he's gonna live with us forever, obviously, until I can't no longer, right? Mm-hmm. I want to say we're working on potty training right now. That is our hardest thing, is going to the bathroom. I think after we've mastered that, I think things will be smoother. My son will never be able to live alone. My son will never be able to drive. And that's because of the seizures, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't get a license. It's just, you can't. I want to say we have our plan in place. My cousin, who's 20, she is my son's person. Like, and if anything, she's a lot like me, so I think that's why I love her too, right?
That's awesome.
She has a mouth on her, and she's not afraid to speak up, and that was our deal. Is when you see something wrong, you speak up, you know. And that was my biggest thing, is somebody, you know, because you always think like, if something happens to me, they go to your parents, but his parents are old, my parents aren't young.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I want my son, and they love them. Like, I'm not saying that wouldn't be a great care plan for others, but in my situation, my son is very active, and he's loud, and he's a lot, and he's aggressive, and he needs somebody that I feel is a lot like his mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that and we've already have it in play. It's so crazy. We did this in the summer, that if something were to happen to me, then he would go with my cousin Renee. So she's in college right now, and she helps me babysit, and she comes over a couple nights a week, and we get our date night, and she stays over, and she knows everything about him. She knows when he's mad, she knows what he's saying, she knows his language. My oldest son, he just turned 18. Our oldest, my big kid, Josh's big kid, right?
Yeah.
He will be her support. He will always be there to help Renee, and we've made like a pact. Like, if Renee needs a break, or me and dad are dead, whatever, that you and Renee need to be a unit, and you guys need to take care of Josh together and do things the way we do. When I was in the process of getting this paperwork, and it's like a trust, it's actually called a legal trust for your kid, right?
Yeah.
What happens to your kid? It was like, they ask you a lot of questions. And one of the questions was like a medical care moving forward, right? So I don't want my son, and there are cases where, like, you have these gnarly seizures, and you're in a hospital, and you're on machines, and you're on ventilators, and you're on all these things. I would never want that. I would never want that to be his life.
Yeah.
So we all have to be on the same page. Like, that is the only thing I ever wish, is if my son cannot be on a machine for more than a month, or whatever
Right.
the situation. I know that
Yeah.
sounds really dramatic, but when I didn't think of these questions until they were asked of me,
Mm-hmm.
medically, what if you're in this case, in this case, in this case?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? Like, why would that even be a thing? Why would that even be a question? Well, because it freaking happens.
Yeah, it does.
And if I die tomorrow and you're in charge of my kid, you need to know how I feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that just like opened up more shitty emotions and what ifs. And I'm the what if queen, baby. Like, I go what if all day. What if this happens?
Ultimately, your goal is to have him have a quality of life.
Yes, whether
Yes.
you're present or not,
Yes.
and I think that's why you're his mama. And we go to a school, Steph's kids and I, and their theory is that the children pick their parents, and I know he picked you to be his mama because you are who you are, and you've given him a quality of life because you fight for him. You're his hands, you're his mouth, and you're his heart.
I'm his mouth for sure.
And you're everything, girl. And I truly believe that there's special humans in this world that bring in these, I love the word Angelman, because they are angels.
Yeah.
So I believe he came with joy for a reason, and I feel that they have laughter for a reason. They remind us what life's really about. But I think you, Mama, are the one for your son, and no one else could have been his mama. And I love that you're looking out for his future and his present and taking care of it. And I know this isn't an easy journey for you. It's not an easy journey for anyone, but you had a card handed to you, and I love the way you're treating it and you're embracing it. And we appreciate that. I think that's the hardest for me. Asking you that question we just asked you is one of the hardest decisions I feel maybe that that's something you can't control. I mean, once we're gone, we're whatever we believe that happens to us, but you're not physically here to protect him in the way that you do now. So I think it's so beautiful that you have family that has put, they are willing to carry him and be his hands and his speech and everything else that he needs support with. And that is such a huge commitment of love.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing that you have that.
You know what? The questions, I was going to tell you too, like, I'm not like, I don't get like offended. Like, a lot of moms get offended. And I watched it and I noticed that the moms that get offended when you ask questions because they haven't really accepted it yet. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, I mean, we don't say the R word. That's not an okay word.
Yeah.
We don't say that word. Right? And when people say like, what's wrong with him?
Yeah.
Or when people like, and I have little cousins, they don't know. And they're like, how come Crouchy doesn't talk? That's weird.
I mean,
and I would
we
say
live in
he doesn't talk because he'll tell on you when you're being bad. He'll tattle on you. Right? And they're just like, look at me like that, And the best way we explain it to like other kids too, because I want them to not be afraid of my son, because my son, like I said, he moves his arms and he's active and he flaps and he waves and he doesn't understand personal space. He wants to hug and kiss everybody. Everybody. And so I know some people aren't comfortable sometimes, and the personal space is important. So I tell kids like there's nothing wrong with him. It's just Jesus didn't give him a voice. Jesus just didn't give him a voice. That's okay. Or say things like, why can't baby Josh eat meat? And like, baby Josh doesn't really like it. It doesn't taste good to him. Baby Josh likes bananas, and they think that's weird. Baby Josh likes bananas. Baby Josh likes fruit. Baby Josh, I don't like that. That's gross. I'm like, well, he thinks your donut is gross. Like, he thinks my donut is gross? I'm like, yeah, he doesn't like it. He'll throw up. And he will. He'll throw up. So we have to explain this to people that come into our home, and like my best friend, and she's so dope, because when she first brought her kids around my son, she said, how do you want me to explain it? Because we're still going to be best friends, and I want our kids to be close. So how do you want me to tell them? And I respect that so much, because she didn't stop being my friend or run away because my son was weird. And you'd be surprised, people who I thought were my best friends were not.
Yeah.
Because being around my son made them feel uncomfortable.
Can we talk about how I think a lot of people, adults included, not just kids, have, if they see someone with a disability that's physical, that you can tell, when you see them out in public, a lot of people don't know how to respond.
Or they'll
ignore the person. They won't make eye contact. Sometimes our kids are saying something and we don't know what to say, to explain it. Because I don't know the answer either. And I would love for you to tell us, if you have thoughts on how to respectfully approach someone or talk to someone with a disability or their mother in public, if, you run into each other.
So a couple things have happened. Like, we were at a Chili's and a little girl was just staring at my son. Just staring. Not in a rude way, just curious.
Yeah.
And her mom, like, smacked her. And was like, stop staring, that's rude, right? And I get her point of view. I get it, right? And I go, it's okay. I go, his name is Josh. You can say hi. And she's hi. My son not saying nothing back was the confusing part. So now I'm in a Chili's. This lady just smacked her daughter. I'm telling her to say hi to my son. And then, it was like awkward. But I mean, like I told you, I've been in a million awkward situations where I don't think it's awkward, right? And I would say, you could say hi, his name is Josh. And she's like, hi. She goes, he can't hear. That's the first thing is the kids think is he can't hear. Because he's not responding. And I go, no, he could hear you. He just can't say hi back. My son tried to give her a hug and she kind of like shrugged away. I go, that's how he says hi, is he says, if you say hi to him, he's saying hi. That's this Mexican side in him, right? He has to hug and kiss everybody at every fucking party and fucking annoying, okay? So my son will say hi to everybody in a room and hug and kiss everybody in a room if you tell him hello. If you say hi or look his way or give him any type of acknowledgement, he wants to tell you hi. And that's how he says hi, is by giving you a hug or a kiss. So that little girl kind of was uncomfortable. And I said, oh, no, it's okay, Josh. You don't have to give her a hug. You can just give her a high five. So that was very rando, right? That I didn't know that was going to happen. And I just kind of went with the flow. I notice when people look at him and stare and they're confused or they're trying to figure out what he has. That's the biggest thing. And I'll say, I go, I walked by this couple. I was like, he has Angelman syndrome. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stare. Yeah, bitch. Yeah, you were. Sorry. He has Angelman syndrome. Oh, my son has this. My son has that. That is the most annoying thing when you do that.
Yeah.
Like when it's like if you have my brother-in-law is gay. Oh, my neighbor's boyfriend's gay. I don't give a shit, bitch. That doesn't have nothing to do with this. Or my son has Angelman syndrome and your neighbor has Down syndrome. Those are different. So like I said, we go back to respect 101 and you do not compare, right? So that's my whole thing is like, I will answer all your questions. What does he have? Does he have seizures? Da, da, da. I feel that it makes it awkward when people ask about my son and then they start talking about John Smith, who has this and who has that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I wonder what that is. It's a coping mechanism to deflect from this situation.
I think it's a way to,
or like,
to say I have some, like that's their experience with someone that could have a possible disability to kind of connect with you. Yeah. It might not be necessarily disrespectful in their intention.
Right. It's not. Yeah. No, it's not disrespectful. It's not disrespectful. That's just my personal like annoyance.
Yeah.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, the same, and that comes with anything, not just my kid. Like, I make lasagna in the crock pot. I'm like, oh, you make white girl lasagna? I fucking guess. I make white girl lasagna. Or fucking no. Nobody likes lasagna anyways. But I'm saying is like when people are trying to like downplay what you're selling or what you're saying or what I'm experiencing, you're just, you're minimizing me and my son. You're not minimizing me. You're minimizing my son. Right? But if I'm in a place and you people look at my son or stare at my son, I have no problem saying wave and they're curious. Or a couple people have just sat and just talked to him and played with him and did hand gestures. And this one lady, she said she was a 3rd grade teacher and she's all like, he wants to sit on my lap. Is that allowed? I said, sure. And he just sat on her lap and they played with each other's hands like peekaboo, I guess, for 5 minutes. And it was really nice. And that's the part I like is when you're including my son. My son got invited to a jumping party, like a trampoline party. And he couldn't jump, but he sat in the trampoline and the kids jumped around him and he had the best time. Yeah. So I love that people include my son, involve my son. When you get to know my son, you always love him because he's so nice and he's so sweet. I'm telling you, the hugs and the kisses. I'm telling you, kisses from white boys are different, man. I'm telling you, they're different. They're different. So, he is very loving and open, but some people do get discouraged and they get worried. They don't want to hug him too tight because they think they're going to hurt him. Yeah. Or, I don't know. And I guess that's a more respect thing, like, to me, that they're worried on what I'm going to say. But like, I feel that if you are in a situation and you are with a child or a family that has special needs, saying hi to them is welcome. Including ignoring them and turning away is your way, and because you don't know how, right? Because you're uncomfortable. Right. Yeah. I assume if you're turning away, that is making you feel uncomfortable. So I can't control that. I can't make every single person acknowledge my kid. Yeah. And turn around and acknowledge my kid. What I can do is make it a comfortable environment to where you would want to be nice to my kid, right? Yeah. Yes. And make you feel like if you want to sit next to my kid, that's fine. You could sit here, right? But I have to tell my son, we're going to keep our hands to ourselves because he likes to touch and play. He loves hair. He's going to want to touch your hair, play with your hair. And if you wear glasses, he'll take your glasses off and show you your glasses, you know. When you wear a hat, he doesn't like hats for some reason. Hats stress him out. He'll take your hat off for you and he'll put it down. Like, he doesn't want you to wear that.
Yeah.
So I feel that if obviously you can't treat my kid the way you treat your typical kid, but you can be nice to my kid.
Yeah.
Right? You could be nice. And if you're a nice mom, and if you're a nice dad, chances are your kid's nice. If you're a fucking bitch, I'm 98% sure your little daughter is a little bitch.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Because if you act this way and act crazy, then your daughter thinks that's okay, so she's gonna be mean to my son. It's not her fault.
Yeah.
But that's where our homes are important. And all my kids, especially our middle one, he has the softest, sensitive heart. He will go out of his way purposely to play with the kids that nobody's playing with his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
He will purposely push the kid in the wheelchair to class or at a park and play with the kid that nobody's playing with because he thinks long term. And he'll ask me, do you think people play with baby Josh at school? So in his head, he's like, and I didn't think about it because I think he was like in 8th grade. And he's like, oh, I went in the special needs class today and I read books. They had like buddy day or something. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking dope, bro. And he's like, oh, and I have a friend and he's in a wheelchair and he talks. He has cerebral palsy and he's in a wheelchair and he's in my math class. And I'm like, oh, like he's smart. He just can't walk. He's in a wheelchair. And he's like, no, he's really smart, Jen. Da, da, da. And he's like, I like hanging out with him. He's cool. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, do you think baby Josh will have friends like in high school or in school? And I think he tries extra hard to be nice and go out of his way to kids with disabilities because of his brother.
Right.
And he might have seen real bullies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The other two are very nonchalant about it. Like our 15-year-old daughter, like hangs out with Josh. Like they're both fucking regular. Like, move, Josh, get away. Like they play, they wrestle.
Yeah.
He's drinking my drink, and like regular brother and sister stuff.
Yeah.
And that warms my heart in a different way is because he's still getting siblings. Like he's getting real siblings. He's not getting siblings that baby him and do everything for him. They'll be like, Josh, walk. Josh, get up. We know you could walk, Josh, you know?
Yeah.
Or like, my son doesn't talk, but like, I think the kids were fighting on who hit who first. And big Josh was like, Josh, did she hit him? And he looked at the other brother like this. And they were like, see, I told you it wasn't me. I told you it was him. And my son snitched. He snitched.
You did say he tattles.
And he freaking tattled on her. And I looked at Josh. I go, oh, hell no. Baby Josh is just told. And then he goes, oh, man, like, that sucks. Like, baby Josh ratted me out, bro. You know? And,
yeah. Well, you said earlier, Vanessa said earlier is that the belief is that our children pick the parents.
And here's confirmation again.
Baby Josh picked this entire family.
Yeah, absolutely. As she's unfolding this, I'm like, okay,
he
more
picked
people.
Yeah, and he
those are his people.
He picked this family. Your middle child he's meant for this world. There's way more of him needs to be out there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's no coincidence.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
No coincidence. That's so funny because that's what Big Josh always says. Like, there's no such thing as coincidence, Jen.
No, I feel like it's like, yes, we have free will, but I feel like if you make the right choices, they come to these paths that have brought you to be supported. And, just you being on this podcast today, there could be a mom listening, that searches this and hears you, and you could make a big difference. Awesome, right? Make it's just like your social media groups did, So
yeah, And the speaking up thing is probably my biggest thing. Is like, if you think something is wrong or something is not right, it's worse to hold it in, because the day will come when you explode.
Absolutely. Yeah,
It's
you
come.
can't I mean, you have to let it out, and because you're the stability for your son and your whole family. So I'm glad that you know that you have to let it out.
I don't hold shit in anymore. If anything is wrong or pisses me off,
it's out.
Oh, I went to see a nurse. I saw a nurse, and it was just for a refill on Joshua's medicine. And I turned around and I told the doctor, I think she needs to go on a break because she's not being very nice right now.
She needs something.
She needs her 20 minutes, please.
Yeah.
I think she needs to go take a little break. And the doctor looked at me. I go, she wasn't very nice today. She was nice the last time I saw her, but whatever's going on, we need to give Karen a little fucking break.
That is hilarious.
I was very nice. I was very nice. So I think I hate it when I'm really nice and you're rude and I'm still nice. You don't get that nice, Jenna, again.
You have one chance.
Now you're taking advantage.
Well,
yeah, we're not.
Miss Jenna, I'm very curious because you cracked me up before we started this podcast. She asked.
I've been crying.
It's been a great journey. She knows what our last 3 questions are to all our guests, and she goes, "Should I go get my purses right now?" I'm like, "What do you mean purses?" She's got 2 purses. So we're about to ask her. We're gonna ask her. The question is, what do you carry in your purse? And you can do. Okay. Let's do what? 2 items, 3 items. Do your top 3 items. What's the commonality in your purses?
Hold on. Wait. Okay, good?
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay, so this is my little Aldo.
Cute.
Purse.
I love the color. It's yellow.
Well, I don't know. This is my favorite scrunchie, and if it's in my daughter's head, she knows I'll fucking rip it out of her head. Okay. This is my favorite black scrunchie because it doesn't leave dents in my hair. Okay, this is always in my purse. I don't like wallets. I have random cash everywhere, but I guess this is the funniest thing is I have a Scope mouthwash spray in both my purses and my son's backpack and Big Josh's car.
So no stank breath in your house.
Yeah.
No, I never have stank breath because you never know when I'm going to start wanting to make out with somebody.
When someone else's breath is stinky, do you spray it into their mouth?
Remember those mint things we would stick on our tongue?
Yes. Yeah.
Where are those?
Those aren't around anymore. I haven't thought of those in years.
Those things probably cause some kind of shit in our body where they're like, all right, we can't sell those anymore.
I'm a lip gloss queen. I have 3 lip glosses in all my stuff. I'm a lip gloss queen. That's it. Nothing really crazy. Like, would you guys think I was
No, I was just thinking, is there something in there that says something about you?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question we have. I know, that's a surprisingly tiny bag for a mother.
And this tags I should probably pay. Those are in my purse.
Yeah.
So that is my purse. Like, if we're in a hurry, we need to run out, we need to go, right? But if this is my other purse that's always in my car too. It's my new one. Oh, I forgot I have asthma, my inhaler. It's only lip glosses and tampons and cash in here.
There you go. Classic purse stuff.
Yeah, I don't have nothing crazy. Stephanie pulled out snacks. I'm like,
we don't have to show up each other's purses. No worries.
I was like, I don't know what she was gonna bring out, like a freaking Amex diamond card at the Vegas. I don't know.
You never know.
Well, Vanessa has a taser gun that looks like a real gun. So.
Ooh, yeah. I have. That's in my closet.
That shit ain't gonna do you good there. You gotta put it in and pack it.
Well, no, I'm an invader.
True.
So I guess I should keep it in my purse.
You should have 2.
Yeah,
it's legal. It's legal.
Okay, then I better put that shit in one of my purses.
Absolutely, girl. So I can imagine that this question is answered already in my mind, but I'll still ask it. What or who inspires you?
like to be a mom, like, or to be a good person?
It could be anything.
Anybody.
And it doesn't matter if you think it's a cheesy answer. It's whatever's in your heart.
Can I say something? I know you're
Sure.
supposed to answer this, but I'm thinking of what earlier in the conversation is you were talking about the other Facebook mom group, the Facebook
Yeah.
group of other moms and hanging out on the beach day and how they inspire you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking, like, stick with those women because you always want to be surrounded with women who rise you up, who make you want to do better, feel better, and you learn new things from. Like, that's who you need to stick around with more.
I am going to second that.
Those are my angel moms.
Yeah.
You know? And anything medically or something that doesn't sound right or straight, or, you know, it's like my mother goose. Like I go to them. We have a little group chat and I go to them first. The doctor said this, and they'll be like, "That's bullshit," you know.
Yeah.
So great sounding board.
They pump me up and inspires me. I mean, it's always been her. My mom's sister. She's pretty dope. She's very like don't take no for an answer. There were like a couple times where even I was worried to push certain things, right? But I think because she's a teacher, she's the one that like told me the most stuff like about my son's school. That was like my hardest thing was school. My aunt, my Tia, I call her Tia. She's very like but you know what it is? She calms me down. Like she's probably the only person where you're so pissed and so angry and you need to vent to somebody. She's the one that makes me think, well, this is why they probably did that, or does that make sense? Like another perspective or another like thought.
She makes it logical for you to kind of see the different
She makes me think differently, I guess what I would say. So she kind of inspires me to be calmer. She kind of inspires me to listen to what others think, and not everybody is out to get me, because she says not everybody is against you, Jen. Just you scare people. Like you make them, oh fuck, here comes, she always says, oh, here comes that mom. Yeah, bitch, I am that mom. And that's why your kid's that and my kid's right. But I feel like inspired, the word inspired is like very broad, but there isn't just one person. I mean, she comes to my head first. I love moms. I love moms that handle business. I love moms that show up and do it, and like my best friends and the people that I love the most are moms. I can't relate to people anymore that aren't a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's hard for me to have a real friendship or a real connection with somebody who's not a mom, because it's just a different vibe. It's a different mentality. It's a different way of thinking. And are you guys both moms?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
I think also it's because that's what you are, and that's what your life encompasses right now. It's 100% mom all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be mom all the time, and that's your part of your identity.
I like to turn off mom modes on a Friday night.
And good for you, because you need to, and I'll,
Renee, who will take my son if something happens to me, I feel the most like safe and comfortable when she comes to my house, right? She comes to my house and she's like, how's he been? Blah, blah, blah. We get the vibe on Josh, and if he's lazy and we're just going to eat chips and watch movies, I'm like, cool, eat all the chips, bitch. I don't care, right? When that is the most comfort and safe I am, because he's home, in his home where he's safe, and she's there, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what could happen or not happen if he has a seizure. Those kids, my big kids and Renee, have all been seizure certified through me, if that makes sense. Renee is certified, seizure certified, and in the state of California, San Bernardino County, right? But they all know what to do. Like, everybody has a job if my son has a seizure. Somebody is counting. Somebody has the phone ready. Somebody grabs the CBD. Somebody is holding Josh and making sure he's on his side. And if he fell, that he's in a comfortable position, because we don't know how long his seizure is going to last.
Mm-hmm.
If I had a video or a camera and you could see how at the time, I think Adam was 6, Sienna was 5, Adam was 6, Anthony was 8, and they all knew what to do. When Renee was there, they gave Renee her job. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is what we do when baby.
Yeah.
My big kids taught Renee.
Yeah.
Because she didn't live with us, obviously. But when she would be with us, she had to like jump in and figure out how we like move around. Now, when my son is sick or doesn't feel good, she gets in mom mode. And she's not a mom. She literally turns into mom mode, and she's like prepared. Like literally prepared. And it's so fucking impressive that this 20-year-old kid, because she's not an adult, she's a fake adult, okay? She goes to college, and I'm like, you're a fake adult. But anyways, that the mentality and the strength that this young girl can have and be so confident, we don't need 4 jobs anymore. She could do all the jobs.
Yeah.
Like, and to me, like that's impressive. And she, and you know what? She tells me I inspire her, you know, but she inspires me to where she is so confident. She is so confident, and she's not worried or scared. My mom, the grandma, and Josh's other grandma both get very scared, and they want to call 911 all the time. Call 911, call 911. We don't need to call 911 every time. If my son is seizing longer than 3 minutes, and that's why we have a timer, and that's why somebody counts, then we call.
Mm-hmm.
They don't always last that long. And the drama and the chaos that the ambulance and the fire department and regional center and Loma Linda, the wave that happens, my house is very chaotic. My son cannot relax in chaos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I try my best to keep everybody calm when my son is seizing. And it's scary. It's fucking scary. It's scary. But the people around him that are the closest with him, those are the people that I need to be calm, and they have done an amazing job of that. Because if you're calm, my son can be calm and like relaxed.
Yeah. You've got an amazing crew.
Mm-hmm.
My crew's pretty gangster.
Yeah. All right. So we've got our last question. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
When did you fuck up as a mom? And what did you learn from it? Yeah.
Stephanie Cooley, I am perfection. I am not. No. I thought about this question. I thought about it a lot, and it's not. And I fucked up as a parent, and I'm a bonus parent. I'm a step parent. I'm that, right? I won't say which one, but one of the bigger kids, right? They trusted me, right, with a secret, and I didn't think it was a big deal, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, that's fucking stupid. Like, okay, right? Don't tell dad. What? What's a big deal? I'm thinking it's a big, just don't tell my dad. Mm-hmm. Don't tell dad. Dad doesn't need to know. I'm telling you, okay? Cool. A week had passed, and very nonchalantly, Josh asked what was wrong with that kid that day. Like, oh, did you ever figure out? And I told him, mm-hmm. right? He's like, oh, that's why they were mad? Oh, like, and again, it's high school shit. I think they were a freshman at the time. And it's something silly. And just because it's something silly to us in high school life, that's probably a bigger deal, right? Mm-hmm. And that when dad made a joke at the table and inferring to what I had said, the secret was, they were so mad at me, and the trust was gone for a while.
Yeah.
That they didn't want to tell me anything, and they didn't want to say stuff, and they said, you're worse than grandma. And that one fucking sucked, right? And because grandma has a big mouth, right?
Yeah.
So I was like so devastated and so sad because I felt like my connection was already, struggling. Those I didn't birth them, I've been in their life for a long time, but I didn't birth them. And when they're mad at me, when any of them is mad at me, when any of them confides in me in a secret, I feel I'm in a shitty position because I need to tell their dad that's their dad. But if I want a relationship with that kid, I need to have a relationship with that kid.
Yeah.
And if they're trusting me, I need to hope that dad will respect that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because everything kids did or said or wanted or asked for, I told her dad. But now they're getting older and they're like, dad doesn't get it. Dad says rude stuff, or dad thinks his jokes are funny. And that's why we tell you, but why do you tell our dad? Right? I want to say they didn't confide in me or tell me anything for like over a year. And that really hurt me. Like that really broke my heart, that I broke trust. And I learned my lesson, obviously, I never, and just because, you're learning something that isn't important to you might be important to something else.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're embarrassed and somebody else knows that you're embarrassed about it, and then they joke about it, because that's what Josh did. They kind of made fun of them.
Yeah.
Right? So not only did he open up his stupid mouth and say what I said, he teased them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is what hurt me, is like, dang, like, I suck, but you suck too. Like, you couldn't just not say that, So, and that was a struggle, for a minute, because I'd be like, okay, like, oh, are you going to tell dad?
Yeah.
Are you going to tell grandma? And I'm like, nope, not going to say
I
nothing.
feel this a lot, especially because I desire to have my children have an open forum with me.
Yeah, we're supposed to have that with them.
And I get that. And I've probably done the same thing. And this is a good reminder for me. Thank you.
Oh yeah. That they're telling me for a reason, because they trust me.
Yeah.
And they want me to know, and I wrecked that trust. And that wasn't the only time that I did that with that kid. Probably they were more upset because I'd done it a couple times, and then finally they had to tell me, like, you're worse than grandma. I was like that, bitch.
That's
no,
like,
I'm not.
It's like we're calling you a bitch.
Yeah.
You're worse than grandma.
That was like calling me the C word. Like, what the fuck? Like, no, she's not that bad.
No, we all have lessons, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we all have things we're working on as people, and sometimes our kids shine the mirror in our face when we forget what that work is. So thank you for admitting that and sharing that, and everything you've shared today.
Yeah. This was really enlightening just to hear your story, and you are super badass.
Yes.
The fact that you've done all of this and you're continuing to just do it with just like such good sense of humor, and you're a great storyteller. Thank you for telling us about your life and baby Josh's life, and how you're making it just so wonderful and giving him the best quality of life.
Yes. It was truly inspiring, and I knew nothing about Angelman's, and it's just such a cool, I love learning these different parts of life and the way we all live differently. And then it's through somebody that's living it, not through a textbook, not through Google. I've learned this through you today. So I really appreciate your time, and I love your commitment to your children.
You guys are so cool. This is cool. This is a really cool little thing that I got to do, and I got to spread awareness. And the days are hard, but they're not all hard. Like, literally, I have to think that, like, I've learned a different kind of happiness, like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, somebody's happiness is a new car. Somebody's happiness is going on a trip to Italy. Somebody's happiness is meeting the man of your dreams. Like that, everybody has a type of happiness, right? And literally, I've learned that my happiness is my kids not being in a hospital.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't give a fuck where I live. I don't give a fuck where we work. I don't give, all those things are like minimal. Like, my kids are not in the hospital right now. They're home. They're at home, or they're at school, and they're playing, and they're healthy. Like, I still say that my son, baby Josh, who has Angelman syndrome, he's still a healthy kid. He doesn't have heart problems. He doesn't have liver problems. He doesn't have kidney problems. He's not diabetic. Like, he doesn't have a G tube. Like, it could be worse, right?
Yeah.
My son's not in a hospital.
Yeah.
My son got to wake up in our bed and not in a hospital bed. And I've been in a hospital too many times. I've been in a hospital so many times for long periods of time. And that's the worst. Like, it's just worse. So I'm happy every day that we are home, whether it's chicken nuggets, McDonald's, or unless I decide to cook something. Like, I'm happy when my kids are home and we're not in a hospital. So that's where I feel everything else gets minimalized, all the other issues and problems. And like I said, when you pick real friends and true friends that you could be a mom with and come over, let's just freaking bullshit right here and let the kids run around. That's your friend. That's your real homegirl. Not getting up and getting dressed out and going out and doing things with those kids. I need my kids to be involved in everything because they need to see that how we live is different, but how we live is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I let the kids have parties here and have the little kickbacks and have their friends here, and baby Josh is here all up in the mix, like, oh, your first high school party, my guy, But just because normality, like you said, normal is such, I tell you, normal is such a shitty, weird world. I mean, weird word, but the world I live, there's nothing normal about it, right?
I absolutely agree with you. I guess, and I've told my kids there's no such thing as perfect. So, and there's no such thing as normal. Yeah. So I think that's a good point. And that's just such a way that we try to make things even Steven, that question. So again, lesson learned on another aspect. So thanks for that. And, we'd like to keep us posted, and any way we can support, you guys. If you'd like to keep up with the latest, see more shenanigans, or just connect with us, go to Instagram, where you'll find us at Real Motherfuckers Podcast.
And also, if you'd like to see some real juicy mama boobs, you can see it in action on YouTube, also at Real Motherfuckers Podcast.
And enough with the free Costco samples.
You can start paying up. Actually, you can also just support us monetarily on Patreon, where you'll get some more cool exclusive content. And you can find us there at
Real Motherfucker Fuckers Podcast.
We fuck up on this show. Yeah. Nothing's perfect.
Hence the name.